As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more.
We have a ton more to talk about, though, guys. So do you want to just jump into it here?
Let's go.
Yep. Let's do it.
Should we start with a bit of, I think it's definitely unfortunate news, but I think not unexpected. And that is Venn. Do we want to start with Venn?
Only if you want to say I told you so.
Well, let's start with Venn. So the headline here, Venn furlough nearly half of their staff, cancel Facecheck show. After hiring an accounting firm to lead an acquisition process, Venn is scaling down for the fourth time in a year. As far as I heard, they're down to basically a skeleton crew in this article. They're saying Venn's furloughing half of their 15 employee staff, so they're down to, I guess, about 7. And supposedly there are ongoing acquisition talks with potential suitors. I think that's kind of the author here. From what I've heard, it's more of a fire sale. But this was as high profile as I would argue anything in esports got. They raised maybe more money than just about anyone in esports, right? They raised $43 million from a who's who, other than Bitcraft, who I wouldn't put in the who's who. And this thing has gone to zero now, guys. What does this say? It is mind-blowing. So I think that's everyone's reaction. Let me just start with let me give a preface, and then I'm curious to get your thoughts. First of all, people getting laid off. To be clear, no one's happy about that. This is bad for everybody. This is not something that's to be celebrated, right or wrong. People losing their jobs is definitely a bad thing. Let me just say one other thing, which is the concept around Venn, I thought always made sense, right? That there was a massive lack of content for specific segments of the gaming audience. And with $43 million, Venn should have been able to make this happen. Where do you guys think this went wrong?
This is a tough one to crack. Jeff, if you don't mind, I want to start off just because I had a lot of conversations with Venn regarding other clients that I used to represent when I was an independent consultant. And I can't get too deep into some of the projects, but I can say, some of the clients I represented were hesitant because, the Sasha Grey porn star angle, they didn't want that type of affiliation with their brand. Other clients I represented, we had some outrageous cash offers from Venn to work with them, to have talent on their programming, like a lot larger than
well, now we know where the money went.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And I don't want to get into specifics on those projects, excuse me. But, I never had a clean dealing with Venn. It was always either too far in one direction or the other. And it's just mind-boggling because with that much money and with that great of an idea, you see how nice their production facilities are. They had some really great concepts, I think, some very nice, expensive shows. What does that say about the viewership? Did the viewers not come? Did the sponsors not buy into the program? Were they paying too much for talent? Is it a combination of all the above? We know and have had on the show some people that work in talent representation as well as in Twitch micro influencer campaigns that were clients of Venn. And, it's hard to figure out exactly where it went wrong, if there was one person or one decision or one component to their strategy that was misaligned, or whether or not it was a combination of all these things. But I think it's a great case study for other content houses and other people in esports to kind of see, hey, you can have a great idea, you can have great shows, but execution, I think, smart investing, smart spending, the fundamentals of business still become important. You can't just, it just feels like they blew a lot of money very quickly, I think is for me what was hard to grasp. So I kind of want to hear, it's just like, I don't even know if I tried my hardest if I could spend that much money. So I definitely want to stop talking here and hear your.
No, I think you laid it out. I mean, I don't have the answer, because to your point, it felt like this was the perfect idea at the perfect. I don't think you can discount just how perfect of a time these guys were launching it. Like, imagine if I told you there was a company that was going to try to be the MTV of esports and create esports content and had tons of backing, had legitimate people, was hiring the right people, paying good money for the right talent, I think, and was launching in literally the smack in the middle of COVID, when we all know, just look at a Twitch chart or any metric out there, the billions of metrics that are out there showing that gaming has clearly exploded during the pandemic. So it really is a head scratcher, because it felt like the right company at the right time in the right market, and with the right amount of money. So I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe is it fair to like overgeneralize and say, hey, overproduced content doesn't work for esports. People want, just to watch Ninja stream. They don't want it to be some produced show. I don't know whether that's the right takeaway. You guys, this is something you guys specifically do for a business, so you guys have a better answer. But to me, it's kind of just crazy to think that this didn't work, or the fact that it failed so spectacularly quickly is kind of just mind-blowing.
Just to put things in perspective, Business of Esports had larger viewership than all of Venn combined. So, like,
number one.
Well, that's not surprising. Tell me a surprising stat. I mean,
we didn't spend anywhere near 43 million, maybe, as you can tell at the moment. But I think Greg hit the nail on the head. Like, really hit the nail on the head here. Ideas are easy, execution's everything, right? And so while I think no one disagrees that the idea was good, and Jeff, to your point, the timing was good, right? Maybe no better
perfect,
timing.
like literally perfect.
Literally perfect. I mean, it all comes down to the execution, but it's sort of the drum I've been beating since I started like operating in the gaming space in a meaningful way, which is there's lots of people who are passionate about gaming. There's lots of people who know the gaming space, but the number of people who legitimately know how to build a business and build one prudently, cautiously, making the right moves, making the right management decisions, like I can probably count those people on one hand for literally the entire industry. And I mean, Venn was an unfortunate victim of that. I think the frustrating part for me is, first of all, it makes the whole space look bad, right? Like I wasn't hoping for Venn's failure. I was calling it, but I wasn't hoping for it, because it makes the whole space look bad, when in reality, it's really Venn's fault. It's not the space's fault. And I think where I'm doubly frustrated is you have a lot of good people who lose jobs because of 2 or 3 really bad managers, fundamentally.
You also have a lot of sponsors, I think, that are now hesitant and are reevaluating their position because of this failure. So again, no one's gloating over this or happy about it. It's really a case study, I think, and something that we need to analyze and think about deeply.
I think Kyle's question is a good one. I'd be curious to hear what
I
you guys think.
I have a thought on that. You want to read it out, Paul? Or
yeah, Kyle says, do you think that they were trying, and by the way, Kyle, welcome. Do you think they were trying to model classic media outlets too much?
My
Jimmy, what were your thoughts?
Well, my understanding of Venn's model and distribution was actually really on par, I think, with the trend that esports brought to traditional media. And that was that they were doing a lot of live streams. They were paying a lot of streamers to raid their content. They saw tremendous retention. And I thought all of these were really new age ways of getting media out there. I wonder if they were just paying too much where it was not sustainable. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a great question. I don't know too much about their app and their other programming, but we had AJ Damiano from Power Spike on. Venn was a client of theirs. They also work with Verizon and some other big players. And these guys were raiding Venn streams for months with the biggest streamers, very successful campaigns, tremendous viewership, and most importantly, like I said, great retention. So, if the numbers were there, if the viewers were there, maybe, what was the failure?
And for the audience, what does it mean to raid a stream?
Yeah,
obviously, thanks, I know what it is.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, to raid a stream.
For the people out there, like this Matt Gideon guy.
This Matt Gideon guy.
Yeah. If I am streaming to my own audience on my own channel, I can bring that entire following with me and force them to watch someone else's programming. It's a really powerful tool. It's really cool when you're an up-and-coming streamer to have someone big like Ninja say, hey, everyone go watch this guy. I think he's great. And then he showcases you. It's the equivalent of, an athlete, gaming, I think, playing street ball with a young up-and-comer and tagging him or sharing, a cool dunk. It's the equivalent of a musician recording with a young up-and-comer and doing some kind of behind the scenes, hey, check out how, check out these vocals.
I couldn't have explained it better myself.
Guys, let me just throw one other thought out here, and it's related to Matt's point, which I actually think is really clever. So Matt says, is it possible that the timing was too good? Maybe the fact that they didn't act at the proper time showed that they weren't the right company for the moment. Let me just start with Matt's first part here and make the argument that could it be that everything was too perfect for Venn, right? The timing was perfect. They had all the big stars. They had more money than any startup in the space had ever raised, right? So they had no money concerns, no resource constraints, no constraints whatsoever on the business. And when you have literally nothing constraining you in any way, you don't. There's no discipline required in running the business, right? And because everything was so perfect for them, there was no one ever applied any discipline to the business, and therefore this is why they failed. Like, anyone buy that argument that
I do
the scenario
buy that.
being too perfect?
I think that's fair, and it's literally the Quibi analogy kind of thing. I think when you have that much money to burn, it becomes very easy. You're not making the hard choices and doing things sort of the right execution way. It's easy to say, oh, well, let's film that episode again, or let's that didn't work, scrap it, bring in something. Like you're able to sort of be sloppy, I guess, because you're not hand to mouth kind of thing.
Sorry to interrupt. It goes to Greg's comment earlier as well that we read from chat, which was, the importance of execution, right? Just because you have the right timing, the right ideas, if you're not, like you said, if you're mismanaging funds or time, equally importantly, equals failure is what we're learning.
I will say, because I know, Jimmy and I are out here filming content with our team. We had the team out until midnight last night filming content. I don't know if the Venn folks were working till midnight, but I don't know. Maybe.
I shared with the team. I said it reminded me of that Office episode because Paul, the boss, there making, so we're working late. It reminded me of that Office episode where Dunder Mifflin gets bought out by Saber, and the boss comes to make sure that they're all working hard. And it's St. Patrick's Day. It's Friday, St. Patrick's Day. They want to go have fun, and everyone's too scared to leave because the boss. So that's very much how it felt.
Wade agrees with you, Jeff. Seems like a mini Quibi, which I agree. It's unfortunate, right? It's not a good story. It's not good for the industry. But I think this is why, and this is where I personally take a lot of flack, and I just want to make my position clear. I'm hard on these companies. I'm hard on Activision Blizzard. I'm hard on Venn. I'm hard on these companies because I don't want to see this outcome, right? I don't want to see these companies go to zero because of bad management, bad decisions, poor execution. It's not good for anybody. And it's so easily avoidable. Like this has nothing to do with the external factors and the strength of the industry and the strength of the media opportunity. I don't believe that one bit. This is purely a Venn's own fault. Like there's literally, and look, unfortunately, I think, and the reason I'm so hard on Bitcraft is they have funded many companies in the same way they funded Venn, with no resource constraints, no oversight, nothing to force discipline on the business. And that to me is a bit scary. Greg says, do you think they would have been more successful if they had more recognized talent like Ninja or the Doc? I mean, Greg, they had massive talent, but
they had big talent. They spent a lot on talent. Sasha Grey, and not just endemic talent, like you said, Sasha Grey, all across the board. I think what the issue was, and this is what I've preached to other clients when I was in consulting, was I think that they spent a lot on big name talent right out the get-go, and that's very hard to sustain over a long period of time because this talent is charging a premium to be with you, not even exclusively for that period, right? We saw it with Mixer as well, where that was an exclusive deal. Still, that you can't buy an audience in this space. It's too organic and it's too genuine. What you do is you need to start grassroots. You need to build up a following. We also saw it. There's a company called Donut.gg. They were an app editor. They retained Nadeshot for a month for probably, my understanding of his rate was maybe $30K for the month to stream and use their product to edit his clips. What happened was massive spike in users for the month and then quick drop off, 1% engagement and retention thereafter. And I think we see that with Venn too, where they're spending a massive amount on big name talent all across the board. It's not sustainable over a long period of time. They're burning through cash and they lack that organic grassroots following where the spike in users or viewership or whatever you want to call it, audience, it didn't stay. It didn't stay, or when it was there just for that one thing, just for that giveaway, for that raffle, that event, and then they were gone. So
gamers are such a unique audience, though. Yeah. Like really, they're such a unique audience. Like no one cares how nice the set looks. None of them did. They didn't care, right? The content was cringy. No one cared that the set was nice if the content's cringy, right? They just didn't understand. It was totally mismanaged, and I feel bad for the people that lost their jobs as a consequence. Yeah. That to me is the worst part about all this. Ben says, how much was COVID a factor? They never got people into their TRL of gaming space. It's a great question, Ben. By the way, Ben, everyone should reach out to Ben from YouGov. Who very generously are supporters of the show, and YouGov data is the best in the business. So you want a well-managed business with an incredible product. YouGov is the model there. So
I think Ben makes a great point here because I had been saying, hey, COVID, that was the perfect time to launch. And just from a pure eyeballs viewing gaming, clearly COVID was a boon for that. But the point I guess I didn't really recognize was actually creating the content, which was harder during COVID, and particularly with the, getting people, if their plan was to sort of get people into a room and have interactive audience participation, obviously COVID put the kibosh on that. So I don't think that would have been the saving grace for them, but that is something I just wanted to correct because I did say COVID was the perfect time to launch, but this is clearly a counterpoint to that.
Well, I mean, it's a good counterpoint, but I want to speak to it too because, you couldn't get in the same room as these people. But on the flip side of that, you have all this talent, musical talent, sports talent that's not competing because they can't travel because there are lockdowns and restrictions. What did they do? They said, hey, if they're gamers, they said, I want to get into gaming. They go to their agent or their representation and they say, how can we leverage my brand to this new audience? And so more than ever, Venn actually had an influx, I think, of people that were wanting to get paid to come on the show to act as guest appearances. And so how much was COVID a factor of their downfall? I would say the opposite. It's amazing to me that they had so much talent that was so easily accessible. Never before have you been able to leverage assets from other traditional entertainment properties in our space that would do it at a discount just because they weren't working or because they wanted to try something new. and they still couldn't capitalize on that. So I can't.
Maybe they weren't nimble. Maybe they weren't nimble enough at sort of pivoting. And part of that's maybe to what we were talking about before. When you're not resource constrained, you're not thinking outside the box and sort of
definitely
being creative. But anyway, I feel like we've thrown enough dirt on.
No.
Sorry,
Bob. You have the last word.
I just want to wrap this up and say, to Ben's point here, what was scary in their original plan was they were going to open a second location. So they have a production studio in LA, which remained, I think, mostly functional during COVID. I don't know how much they were filming out of there, but at least it was open. It was open or functional in some way. But they had committed to another space in New York that was, I think, even more over the top, even more expensive in the Oculus downtown, which I would argue would have accelerated the burn and probably also, they would have run out of money faster in a non-COVID world, as weird as that may seem. But I guess who knows?
It's crazy when you can produce a show from hotel internet, So.
It's true. It's expensive hotel internet though. So